I want to talk a little bit about a vacuum issue. If the vacuum on your freeze dryer isn't getting low enough, fast enough, the way it's supposed to, there's some things that you could look for. Let's assume that the vacuum pump is good. For now, we'll make the assumption that it's good. So then you've got a vacuum leak somewhere. The most likely place is the seal. I've had it a couple of times, luckily only a couple of times, where it just would not get down to the vacuum fast enough, or it actually failed to achieve vacuum. And I actually found that there was just a thread across this seal. That's enough to prevent it from achieving the vacuum. It's amazing how little air needs to be going in there to fail. So if you're taking this seal off, there could be something in the groove behind it. When I take the seal off to take the rack out, I'm very careful to clean that groove. A little frosting knife from Wilton's. I wrap a damp paper towel around it and then I put that in the groove and go all the way around. Assuming you haven't taken it off, and so it was working but it's not now, the places that I would look is first the seal. Make sure that it's meticulously clean. So I get a damp paper towel and carefully wipe it. Because again, it's an amazingly small area that it needs for a leak. And then the plastic door. Make sure that everywhere the seal is going to touch is clean. Okay, assuming that's clean and you close it, you should be able to see the ring around it. And if there's dust, because I can see a piece of dust, it's not all the way across, but if it were all the way across, it might be enough to ruin the seal. That little piece of lint or something that goes halfway across that seal. Something as small as that, if it went all the way across that seal, that would be enough to make it fail. And if you have nicks or something all the way across, then it might be time for a new seal. I have a new seal. I keep one on hand just in case. So far I haven't had to replace it. It's over 400 batches for over 4 years. But I have it because I know at some point I'm going to need it. Bigger damage spot right there. It's going this way, which means it could be that the seal is breaking down because it has a groove in the back, but so far it's still functioning. I'm not going to replace it until it actually fails. So assuming you've got that clean and that the seal is okay. So to rule out the hose, one of the things you can do is disconnect that. I'm going to unscrew it. There it is. It's got an O-ring inside there. Even a single hair across that could ruin your vacuum. And a nice smooth seal for it to press against. Got the finger from a rubber glove. Stretch that over it. Okay. Now that should give me a seal all around that. And then next, with the door closed, I'm going to go over to the drain valve. So I've got the drain valve and the hose coming out of it. So I'm going to suck air through the hose out of the chamber and then turn the drain valve off. And that should seal it. Yeah, hopefully we can see that. So right now it's still got a gap there. Okay, I just sucked some air out of there and now it's got the seal all the way around there. So the ring goes all the way around. It's a nice seal. It's about 1/4 inch wide right now. Now, I should be able to leave that until tomorrow. I should be able to leave it indefinitely. It should not leak out. And if you were starting the freeze cycle as it cooled down, the air would shrink in there and would actually lower the pressure. So that ring should stay. By doing this and removing the hose out of the equation, you remove the vacuum pump, so we know that there's no vacuum leak here. And that means there's no vacuum leak all the way to there. Every time that I've thought I've had a vacuum pump problem, it hasn't been a vacuum pump problem. It's been a seal problem. I've had it happen a couple of times with the outside seal, and then at least once where it's in that groove of the seal. But this, I think, is a good starting point. It tells you, does the chamber hold vacuum? It eliminates the vacuum or the chamber as the problem. Assuming this is all functioning, then you can put back together, you know you don't have a vacuum leak here. Here's something I wanted to show. I want to show how little air it takes to make a huge difference on the pressure. Okay, so you can see the pressure, 567, 566, so it's holding steady, slowly dropping as it continues to dry. But here's what I want to show. Here's the drain hose and the drain valve. There's about 29 inches of total hose there. It's about 74 centimeters. It's a 3/8 inch hose on the inside, which is about 10 millimeter-ish. So it's not a lot of volume. Okay, the chamber is about a cubic foot, more than a cubic foot, because it's like 20 some inches deep. Anyway, it's got a good volume. What I'm going to do is hold my thumb over the end of the hose. I'm going to turn the valve on and then turn it back off with my finger on the end of the hose. So the only air that can get in is the amount that's in that hose, and that's all. Now, when I do that, the pressure is going to rise. And since the vacuum's still running, it's also going to be removing the air right away, so you won't actually be able to see how high it actually can go. Thumb on the hose. Turning the valve now. Now I'm turning it back off. And then I'm going to let go of the hose. Okay, and the sensor takes a long time to respond. That's why I said the fact that the vacuum's running kind of ruins that. But you can see how high it goes and how fast it goes. And if the sensor, you know, I mean, because that's got to diffuse through that entire space. That's how little air you need to ruin that vacuum. So as you can see, if you had a minuscule leak, it would still ruin that. And now you see how fast it pulls it back down. But that just goes to show, if you had a single small leak, if you had a hair across that seal, you could be getting more air than that in that amount of time. Anyway, I thought that would be an interesting demo. Alright, so that's it with that. And it'll just continue on its way.